you doing, everyone? My name is Ben Zink. This is George Zink. We've had a lot on our brains lately about sharing with the world what we know about tennis. So today we're going to start our video blog. We hope you're excited. We're super excited. And today I'm interviewing George Zink, my mentor for the past 30 years, a phenomenal tennis coach and uncle. But he's going to share some information with us about how he looks for tennis coaches for his kids and what he values in them. So he's also a 9-time national tennis champion. He's been #1 in the country in the 35s. He's got 2 kids that are both highly ranked in the nation, and he's got tons of insight to share with us, and we're glad to interview him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ben.
So George, tell us, you're a father and a coach, and so you have both sides of the coin. Share with us a little bit about how that influences your decisions on finding coaches and what you look for.
That's great. So thanks, Ben. So I think one of the biggest things that I look for is, number one, the quality of the person. I think that is, for me, it's everything. Because I think that whoever is going to coach my kids are going to spend a lot of time with them. And you know, it's 2-hour practice in the morning, 2-hour practice in the afternoon. And when you're spending that much time with someone, it's a lot. And I think, 4 hours of the day, all of a sudden you don't think it's a lot at the beginning, but after week after week after week, it's a lot. And I think the person has to be a quality person. People ask me, what does that mean? I think the answer to that is, do they have a great work ethic? Do they have a great system? Do they have a great communication skills with my kids? I can tell within the first 10 minutes when I'm with someone whether or not they have a good rapport with my kids. And to me, that's everything. And the other big thing is that I let my kids decide. One of the things that we do is when we try a coach, we let them come in, they get into the car, I let them get something to eat and get something to drink, and then after that we literally say, hey guys, how did you like it? Tell me the good, tell me the bad, tell me the ugly. And they really are honest with me. I can tell you a quick story that, Tyler had gone to someone and I thought the coach was an amazing coach. And I was so excited, I felt like we hit a home run. And Tyler got in the car and he said, Dad, I never want to go back there. So you know what I did? This was before I was a little more knowledgeable than I am now. I said, Tyler, look, you got to trust me with this. You need to go back. The next time we went back, he said it again. Dad, and he actually got tears in his eyes. This is when Tyler was like nine years old. And it really opened my eyes that it's so important that it's not about us as parents or coaches, it's about the kid. And so if the kid doesn't have a great rapport, it's a tough one. So number one thing, find that great connection that works, and then, build on that.
That's great. Along the lines of that, you said a great connection, and does that have something to do with how to make the kids feel, or is that something that you're looking for to decide whether or not that's the right person?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that one of the things that, my philosophy anyway, since I've been a coach for a long time too, is that internal belief, right? I think that when you show up my kids will say this, is that when you show up after 30 minutes, you can tell whether that coach is invested. You can tell whether that coach is doing it out of passion and believes, and then you can tell by body language and the way my kids look at that coach, that, man, there it is. That's the connection that I'm looking for. That's what, and it's just a rapport that goes back and forth. And I think it's priceless. And honestly, if I could tell everybody right now, if I had a list of people, my phone would ring off the hook, because we have struggled with it for sure. But I think if you interview enough people, that you'll find it. But one of the things that I want to stress is that, just don't pick the first person that comes down the road. Do some homework, because connection is everything.
That's exactly right. And what kind of homework would you recommend someone does to find that coach? You spoke about that just a second ago. What does that look like for someone that might be, entering the higher level of tennis right now?
So that's thanks. So here's what I do. And this is, let you know a little bit about the way I go about it, and then you can take from that what it is. So the first thing that I do is I do my homework on Google. All right, you can Google anyone. I want to make sure that the person obviously didn't get in any trouble. I want to make sure that the person is a good standing human being. Then I want to look at some of the things that they've done as a player. Like that's important to me because I think it's tough to teach my kids how to compete at 5-all in the third when you're nervous and you're shaky and things are going on when somebody else hasn't been in. I don't necessarily feel that they have to be in the in the semis or of Wimbledon, #1 in the world, but I definitely feel that playing experience is gigantic. So that's something that I do. Then the biggest thing I do is I ask the person to go to lunch with me. Before I even have them go on the court, I ask the person to go to lunch with me. And I sit down and I ask pertinent questions. I ask questions like, tell me about your family life. Tell me about the people that you've coached in the past. Tell me about your longest standing student. Who have you coached from the beginning to the end? We call that start to finish. Who have you coached? There's a lot of coaches out there that take a 16-year-old kid that's already, dynamic and good, and they might be able to get him to the next level. And those coaches are fine. But if you have a younger kid that's looking to progress and get it better, you've got to look for somebody that's a developmental coach. So, and through that lunch, that might be a 45-minute or an hour lunch. Through that lunch, I find that I get a lot of those answers. And then, when I get in my car after that, I can tell, is this somebody that I want to spend, let's call it, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, let's call it 20 to 25 hours a week that they're going to be around, which is a huge influence on my kids. Do I want this person to be around my kids? And bottom line, and those checklists, that checklist isn't always easy to check off. All those check marks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, we're gonna keep going along the lines of that, but like the intangibles, like things that don't necessarily pertain to strokes, but strategies and mental toughness and things on and off the court. How important is that to the growth of a player and looking for a coach that kind of understands those things?
So I think that, again, before I was a coach and I was working dollars for hours and I was coaching on the court and I would get paid when I was on the court, I had so many of my students would say, can you go to a tournament this weekend? And those coaches out there that do that, please, this is no bust on you guys because I know everybody has to make a living. But what was huge for me is I used to travel to the tournaments with my kids and I didn't get paid that much, but I felt like I needed to do it to see those things. So I think that when you see a child, like I travel with my kids to every tournament now because I'm their dad, and they can pay me, they don't have to pay me to be there.
Right.
So I'm there, and I think that's where you see the intangibles. You see, how did he handle the pressure at that 4-all? When he got pulled out wide, at 3-all deuce, was he able to roll a backhand cross court, or did he get stiffed? What was his athleticism? Could he slide on clay? Did he take his time during points? Like all those little things, I don't think that you can find those things just on the practice court. So the coaches that say, oh, don't worry, show up on my court, Monday through Friday, and tournaments on weekends, I don't have to be there, I think is crazy. So either A, the parent has to step up and pay the coach money to go out and watch, or the least case scenario, put a film up on the court so they can see those little nuances. Because I don't think if you don't watch those things, there's no chance that you can know what the kid's doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for watching. We've enjoyed having you today on our first video blog. Look for us again next week as we share some more information with you.
Thank you.